Over 600 prisoners are being transferred from Fulton County Jail in Atlanta after the family of LaShawn Thompson, a black prisoner being held there, died on misdemeanor charges. The family says he was eaten alive by bed bugs and insects in his cell there last year. Crazy. 35-year-old LaShawn Thompson was being held in the jail psychiatric wing. On Monday, many of the staff resigned, including chief jailer and assistant chief jailer, and members of the Criminal Investigative Commission. Fulton County Sheriff says it's clear to him that it's past due time to start cleaning house. They only want to clear house now because something horrendous has happened. And if this case would have never gained no worldwide news, they would have never shut this jail down or been trying to shut it down. These people look down on individuals in jail. They're almost looked at as not being human at all. If it would have never gained widespread media coverage, this jail would still be fully functional. Everyone who was on call to oversee this jail should be brought up on charges, in my opinion. And LaShawn's death has been listed as unconfirmed. His death picture didn't even look like him if you've seen pictures of him. And his brother, I quote him as saying that he looked like Emmett Till. His brother said the picture of him that he's seen, he also looked like Emmett Till. Crazy. And from what I've seen of his death picture in jail, you could see insects on his face even in that picture in jail. The CO who wrote the incident report said he communicated with mental health staff about Thompson's living conditions on previous dates, but in my opinion, it went on deaf ears. They weren't even worried about it. This shows me they could have took action and prevented this from even happening. This is negligence and neglect on the jail's part. When the brother and sister were asked from the interviewer, did they know that he was in jail? Their brother Thompson that died, they said they didn't even know he was in jail or about the living conditions. The Southern Center for Human Rights found that 10 people died in the Fulton County Jail last year. I quote them as saying the Fulton County has been mismanaged and understaffed for decades. Crazy. Leading to multiple lawsuits and consistent decrees. The bigger question to me is, why was this jail able to continually operate? They knew this jail wasn't even fit for an animal, let alone a person. This Sheriff Labatt claimed that he lost more staff than he could hire. The American Civil Union, I believe, issued a report. The American Civil Liberty Union has issued a report. And they found out that 12% of people being held in the Fulton County Jail were held there due to them not being able to post bail, which means wealthier people with them same charges were released. To me, laws in the judicial system only affects people in impoverished communities the most. Some people were held in this jail on misdemeanor crimes for over 2 years, which is crazy. COs in the jail were even aware of the declining state of Thompson and even reported it to their superiors. It fell on deaf ears, and Thompson couldn't speak for himself due to mental health issues. It was the jail's responsibility to protect his brother, LaShawn Thompson. He was a pre-trial detainee. He wasn't even convicted of a crime. The lawyer of the Thompson family represented 2 other people that were locked up in this jail as well. A William Barnett, a man accused of stealing a lawnmower, and an Antonio May, who was beaten to death by 6 detention officers. Thompson's lawyer says there is a systemic issue in this jail. Sorry, I couldn't pronounce it and get it out. Of abuse and neglect in the Fulton County Jail. This Antonio May also had mental health issues. He started to remove his clothing and wouldn't put it back on. When officers told him to do so. So a draft team went into his cell, tased him 9 times in a matter of minutes, and then they beat him and put him in a restraint chair. Took him into the shower area to wash the pepper spray from his face. His heart stopped and he died in that restraint chair while the officers watched on. Crazy. They also used more restraints than which was the jailhouse policy. This jail to me has a history of neglect and abuse. This brother died in this jail on misdemeanor charges, and you should have seen his cell. It was even unfit for an animal to be living in that cell. This is a big problem in the legal system. There's no differentiation between crimes. They'll stick and put a guy in a cell that got traffic tickets with murderers. And when someone has mental health issues, they don't need to be thrown in jail. They need a psychiatric facility to help them. But jail is needed, I agree, for violent crimes, murderers, sexual offenders, things of that nature. But they'll take a guy convicted of stealing a pack of gum or a dime bag of weed and give him 2 to 4 years in jail, which is crazy. You're wasting the taxpayers' money. And in many cases, the guy that sells drugs is given more time than the sexual offenders, which is crazy. When California made that 3 strikes rule, you was taking guys, giving them life in prison for little simple thefts, which is crazy. Jails and prison mostly affects people in impoverished communities to me. And that's what they were designed to do to me, is to affect people in the urban communities. The whole system needs destroyed and rebuilt, because to me it's one-sided. And you can't affect change on a system that was built off the system of racism, white supremacy. But the brother LaShawn Thompson wasn't provided adequate treatment. They knew he had special needs. He should have been treated as such. In the first place, they should have offered him treatment in a psychiatric facility instead of jail, because jail is just punishment. We're hearing this more and more nowadays, people dying in jail in police custody. Like the one brother, I believe, that was locked up in New York, that was locked up on something petty anyway to begin with, and then when he got out of jail, he committed suicide because of the trauma he experienced in jail. But in my opinion, this jail in Fulton County, Atlanta, has a long history of neglect and abuse of its inmates. And it should have been shut down, but they kept it running because all they thought about was getting that almighty dollar. Peace.